Good afternoon, ladies and gents. And today's Mighty Migz Lifestyle Podcast guest is none other than Michael Redfern, who's actually not only a personal trainer, but he's also a physiologist in exercise, so which means injury prevention and injury management. How are you, good sir?
Good. How are you?
Good. Well, thank you for coming on board. But before we go further ahead, I'd like to mention that the sponsor of this podcast episode is actually Elite Subs in Chatswood. So drop by in-store and quote Mighty Migz Lifestyle, and you're going to get your in-store 10% discount, okay? And your supplements may even taste better because of that. But without further ado, how are you, Mike? Give us a good introduction about yourself, good sir.
I'm going well, thank you. I'm exercise physiologist, personal trainer as well. So I work out at Chatswood Fitness First. So I've been there now 15, 16 years, running my own business within the gym. And just trying to look after the client base and help people to exercise to get healthy and fit.
Oh, awesome, man, awesome. Yeah, because I didn't know you were actually been in Fitness First for that long. I mean, as far as I can know, I mean, it's almost as long as I've been a trainer as well. So well done.
Yeah, it snuck up on me a little bit.
I'm sure as time went by, I mean, things not any time, Fitness First in Chatswood has actually, changed here and there, hasn't it?
Yeah, maybe not as much as we'd like, but certainly it's definitely changed. A whole heap of different equipment comes through, lots of different people. Like you've seen all sorts of different managers, PTs, sales team, all sliced through, and I feel like I'm still part of the furniture there.
Oh, you always will be, Ben. I mean, in a good way, I reckon. So, yeah. But the question is...
They'd like to drag me out.
No. Well, I don't think they're going to drag you out anytime soon because, like you said, it's like dragging you out. It's like a big renovation. It's going to be hard to do, So, yeah.
That's it.
But anyway, so the next question I wanted to ask is, what got you into personal training and how did you end up becoming an exercise physiologist, good sir?
Yeah, so it was actually went to university with the idea of being a physiotherapist. So got accepted into exercise science. Physio was a little bit outside of my intelligence. Didn't quite get the marks to get there. And I thought I'll go the back entrance to find a way into physiotherapy. Pushed through the degree, got good enough marks to go and become a physio, and I got accepted in. But I was ready to use my degree, so I learned all this great stuff about exercise. I've been using it on some of my own training as well, and I was keen to get out there and work. So went and applied at a handful of Fitness Firsts, and Chatswood was the one that I sort of chose out of the lot.
Oh, awesome, man, awesome. So out of Chatswood, what made you choose that out of the other branches around the area, by the way?
So there was a handful online that I applied to at the time, and I interviewed at a few. Got accepted to a couple, thankfully, but Chatswood was just such a great facility. The manager there was an exercise scientist like me, so I had a lot of confidence that she was going to be able to work on my development and that I'd be able to sort of follow a path that she'd taken already ahead of me. And the gym's always busy, so we've got a really nice mix of corporates, really nice mix of residents. So there's always people in the gym. There's always an opportunity to build a business, and the facilities were great. So I was pretty excited to start there over the other options.
Oh, okay. Because, remember, I'm a former Fitness First personal trainer as well, and been to a lot. And I'm not just saying this because you work there, but something about Fitness First Chatswood not only has a good facility, but the vibe is so good. So it's got that. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just like because there are a handful of times I've visited you there and other trainers who I know there, like Matt McConnell and even Dean Burkout. Yep. Something about it that's just awesome. It's just the vibe. I
think we're very lucky with the people too. That the personal training team, all they're very involved. They work together. Even though we're competing essentially against each other to gain business and to make our incomes, we all try and work together to make it a really, really great place to work, but also to improve our skill set, our knowledge. There's various trainers that study together, have little side hustles together. So, the people make a huge difference.
Oh, that's very true. Yeah, because More than anything, yeah, because even though it's a competition with you and other personal trainers or wherever you work or wherever I work, I'd rather look at it as networking, because we as personal trainers, of course, we have different niches, what I mean? Because I come from more the martial arts background and, I
Yep.
incorporate the, mixed martial arts or just like, the boxing and kickboxing side of things. But you're, on the other hand, if somebody's injured or whatnot, you're the person or very few, or maybe just a handful at most who is actually like specializing in exercise physiology, like what it's like in theory and in practicality to actually handle clients with injury. Am I correct?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And likewise, I wouldn't take on bodybuilding clients, boxing clients. I'm quite happy to pass the stuff over that doesn't really sit with my niche and is something that I don't think I'm going to give the same service to the client with. So I'd rather they get a trainer who's really good at each of those different skill sets that can deliver that sort of service, and I stick to what I know and helping people to come back or overcome injuries or to exercise despite obstacles.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good point because it's all about just sticking within our scope of practice as fitness professionals. Because it's like a GP, for example, like he or she will only have just like certain basic knowledge with almost every disease or sickness or an injury out there, right? But when it comes
Yeah,
to beyond their scope of practice, they're going to say, okay, we need you. You have a blood problem. We're going to send you to some blood specialist, or they're going to tell the guy who's got like high blood pressure, high cholesterol levels to say, do you need to exercise at least 3 times a week, minimum 45 to 60 minutes a day? And if the client or the patient ends up asking, oh, what should I do, doc? I mean, how do I exercise? Where do I start from? That's when they're going to, refer to, oh, I know Miguel. Oh, I know Michael. I mean, Miguel
yeah,
works at Anytime Fitness in St. Leonard's, and you got Michael. He works at Fitness First Chatwood. Get a hold of them, see if they can help you. So if their niche is actually what suits you. So it's just similar to that, So we're kind of like doctor, similar to a doctor's, profession. It's
yeah.
just best to do that. Yeah. Keep talking. Yeah.
I yeah, I agree. I'm just finding a niche, finding a network of people that you can work with. So for you and I, we've always got to stick within our scope. So if it's a doctor, or a physio, a chiro, osteo, that is going to be able to help this person better, then you send them along and make sure that they're getting the quality of care and the real specialty that they need.
Because at the end of the day, it's all about the client, it's all about the patient. And
Yeah,
if we can't deliver, then we have to refer. But it's good to be that way, because like what you said, you don't want to take on the bodybuilding clients. In the
no,
beginning of my Anytime Fitness career as well, there's this nice lady who just said, hey, I've got a bodybuilding competition coming up in less than 5 months. Can you help me? I said, I'd love to. But the other personal trainer back then who was with me, Melissa,
yeah,
she's done it a few times. And I said, look, this is her number. So I showed the Melissa's profile board and she said, hey, look, contact her and tell her I referred you. Hopefully she'll look after you well. But
yeah.
she's done it a few times. So you're in better hands with her rather than me in this context because I can't give you what I don't have, So, yeah. So,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
but it is what it is. So the next question here, good sir. So what is your unique selling point as a personal trainer? But I know even though you're an exercise physiologist, but what type of common clientele do you have? Do you usually end up training?
I definitely think, as I touched on just briefly before, is my unique selling points really overcoming obstacles to exercise. So whether it's an injury, a chronic concern like back pain, knee pain, shoulder pain, or it's people with disabilities, I'm trying to facilitate people to be able to get as fit as they want, or as strong as they want, or achieve the goals that they set out and that we go through together, to make sure they're achieving that despite very unique individual challenges. And as such, working in what would you call it? It's more of a health club gym. We're not big on bodybuilding, powerlifting, that sort of thing. It is definitely a health club style of gym. I get basically the basket cases. So people who need extra help with all sorts of different challenges, different pain areas, and yeah, I end up looking after them, all different ages, sizes, shapes, backgrounds, but yeah, definitely people that need just a little bit more care than I guess what your normal personal trainer would be working with.
Oh, okay, well, you know what? That's a good thing because in some ways it sounds like you're more of a specialist than some other trainers out there. You know, because obviously it's not very common. Like I said, you're one of very few people who I know who are personal trainers who, you know, have that exercise physiology background. You know, or that type of education. Because because if I ever did like a exercise physiology course and whatnot, I'm going to be open minded and thinking, you know what, this is going to be probably most different to the Cert 3 and 4 and even all those courses that I've done over the years, because it's just this is in the context of injury and injury management, or just just people with special needs and all that stuff. Do you have many special needs clients in the past or in present, or what?
Yeah, I've got a number of people that I work with various physical and intellectual disabilities. Working with a couple of women at the moment who use wheelchairs, and so yeah, there's definitely like challenges outside of that, like variety of exercise, and then their own unique challenges. So the amount of time that's spent in the chair and also moving around with it, transferring from chairs to beds, and the unique postures and things that forces people into are things that you have to then start to think about when you're creating a program. And on top of that, like, is there the ability to grip on to implements, to use different machines and access to get to different machines in the gym, or shifting from their chair onto equipment, all becomes like part of the training process.
Of course, yeah, I can only imagine, like, because I did train a girl with Down syndrome one time, but I had to ask special advice, because she wanted to learn a bit of boxing here and there. But, at the same time, remember, like, I'm pretty sure you've had a client or maybe a few clients with Down syndrome before.
I have, yeah. It's a unique situation that the experience I've had have all been like really fantastic. It's joyful and fun, and they these different individuals, yeah, that they have, a little bit more time to learn the activity. Certainly more reminders, demonstrations, cueing on technique, but the the fun and the joy and the I guess the reward that comes from um, training people with Down syndrome is fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. One thing I learned as well is you have to take extra care with them, because um, not all of them, but some of them, like their bones can be or joints can be more, brittle or vulnerable. I mean, that's the advice that I've been given anyway by someone who's like yourself. You know what I mean? But this guy
Okay.
is a sports trainer, so yeah. But you know what? Yeah, because it makes sense. But you know what? I there's so many things I didn't do with her when I was training her, but I always made sure that the mother was there when I was training her,
Yeah.
just in case, because more than anything, the mother's the one who signed consent.
Yeah.
So that's the way I looked at it. So that way, and when the mother's there, she knows how to deal with her if she's hurt or she's not feeling motivated, because there were days when, the mum will tell me, oh, she's not really in the mood to exercise today, but I've told her anyway, you need to do it because you're getting older. You need to get fitter somehow. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. You've
Well,
dealt with
certainly
that. You've dealt
having
with that
family
before, right?
along. Yeah,
Yeah,
having family along for exercise really helps. Um, Particularly the longer you spend doing it, and the more clients you see with various challenges to exercise, you start to understand the similarities and the differences, and having family involvement to start with, to get an idea of this person's individual needs is really important. After that, it's often a great exercise for them to practice to come to the gym, to have a habit, to stick to a schedule, and the um, you know even such as getting into the gym, using your pass, using the lockers and things like that. Quite a great activity working towards independence.
oh, that's a good call. Yeah, yeah. Because like what you said, you just need to be more patient with this kind of clientele. I've only had that once, but you know what? In some cases, if they qualify, like if they don't have any other injuries or sicknesses that that could hinder them from exercising with me, I wouldn't mind dealing with those kinds of people as well because in some ways I get to learn more because it's not as common for me.
Mm.
So when you get out of your comfort zone to a certain extent in this profession, you get to learn more. So yeah, but.
Yeah.
But have you ever trained anybody, like any professional athlete who's got an injury or whatnot? Have you trained anybody?
A, a little bit. I do see, because my background's endurance sports, and I've done a bit of my own study, have a pretty good understanding of that. I've worked with a handful of triathletes.
Oh
Um,
wow.
so again, they've got their own unique set of requirements or obstacles or challenges that are related to their sport. So um, I was fortunate enough to be part of I was the strength side of things for a young lady who ended up getting second in Taupo in an Ironman, maybe in half Ironman, um, which was just awesome. Like the motivation that triathletes have at all levels, age groupers and the higher level, is incredible. To try and fit three sports into an otherwise challenging week, plus some strength training, plus stretching, and sort out all the nutritions. Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Oh, yeah, I think it's just when it comes to professional sports, whether it's like what you said, triathlon or even MMA or combat sports or even basketball, you have to be obsessed with it, right? Like you have to be on the dot. Discipline is a must, and you need to be focused to be disciplined. And we can only imagine what these guys go through, like because they wake up maybe 4 or 5 in the morning for a 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. First training session, and then a few hours later they're going to do a different type of training session. I don't know how it is in
Yeah,
triathlon, yeah, but in mixed martial arts, for example, like a lot of them UFC fighters would wake up around that time in the morning. They'll do jujitsu in the morning, or then they'll run. Afterwards or something like that, and midday or the mid afternoon, they're going to do some boxing training. So you have to be obsessed, So and then it can be
yeah,
mentally draining, yeah. So yeah,
and you've got to be a special kind of person to be willing to go out there and get hit in the face. Like,
yeah.
I'd rather just make my legs burn on a bike or my lungs burn on a run than getting smacked in the face. So
Well, there's
um,
less risk of CTE, that
yeah,
disease that comes along. There's less risk of Parkinson's disease if you're a triathlete compared to being a professional fighter. So because
yeah,
if I wasn't a performer or an actor, I probably would have been a MMA fighter as well. But I think because my mom's a very supportive person. But I remember like when I said,
yeah.
I want to be a UFC fighter, and she's like, she said in Tagalog, it's like, oh, your face is gonna get wrecked. You're gonna be one ugly boy, and I'm just like, and she just like. She described me. That's the only time she ever described me from a dream. But other than that,
Yeah.
she's very supportive. I'm just like, anyway, that's in the past. I'm not
Didn't
angry. Yeah.
didn't want you to ruin the moneymaker.
Oh well, I remember chicks dig the scars, but maybe I should get a scar. Actually, no, I shouldn't. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, stay well clear. Yeah.
Exactly. So I'll take your word for that. Very good. So
Yeah.
yeah. So the next question here. So what are the most common types of injuries that you have had to deal with when it comes to your usual clients? Huh?
It's a big mix. Like in terms of acute injuries, you see um, backs is probably one of the regulars. More often than not, it's referring out. Certainly like broken bones, strained muscles, and then on the chronic side of things, ongoing pain, whether it's knees, backs, shoulders, necks associated with the shoulders, and then tendinopathies are pretty key as well. So um, mostly I'd be looking at the chronic side of things. So um, and from an increasingly sedentary lifestyle, so sitting is one of the key factors I feel that is contributing to all of these just ongoing pain problems. So constant posture, sitting down all the time, tightened through the hips, rolled shoulders, forward head carriage. It's what I spend the better part of my day trying to correct.
Yeah, that's common with me as well. Like, whenever I have to deal with the office desk client, you know what I mean? A lot of them are very kyphotic, like, the rolled shoulders, like what you said. And because I've practiced a few things before. There's so many exercises like the cobra stretch, like a prone cobra stretch, or there's like the W fly up against the wall and all that stuff. But you know what? Yeah, it's amazing how like the sedentary people, the office jobs people, they usually have the worst blood health. Like if they get a blood test, they usually have the worst outcome. Like the worst resting heart rate, elevated heart rate, or high blood pressure, or like if you put them in a stepper test, they get huffed and puffed within that 3 minutes. The Queen stepper test.
Yeah, it's a bit of a worry, isn't it?
Oh, pretty much, pretty much. I don't know how they do it, but because you're similar. I'm assuming you're similar to me because when I'm doing admin work at home, or even when I'm in this office, just this office, by the way, is one of my clients. He's a friend now, but he allows me to use this for
Cool.
things like this. But anyway, like I'm here sometimes, 45 minutes or maybe an hour, maybe less than that. I can't even sit still. I have to walk around, you go to the bathroom, or just like wash my hands just around the corner because it's just like I can't sit for 2 or 3 hours straight, or even more than that, like a lot of these people can. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I spend the better part of my week standing up, following people around the gym, and it's always standing. So actually, when I get to a weekend, I don't mind a bit of sitting. If I'm honest, it's quite the relief. Give the feet, knees, and hips a bit of a rest, and settle in for some TV time. But I typically get a workout done first thing in the morning, and then
Yep.
um, settle into a little bit of an afternoon, lounging
Oh,
about.
lounging about. Okay, okay. So you don't work in the weekends either.
Try not to. I did it for a very long time, so I had probably 10 or 12 years of doing Saturdays, and just the last 3 or 4 I've managed to get rid of them.
Ah, I see, I see. Yeah, you deserve it because at the same time, like you have to look after your own mental health in a sense. Because if you and I are just stuck in the gym, it can be so draining. Because because for me, when I'm personal training, I treat it like a shot, like I'm on stage, or even when I'm in BFT just around the corner, I'm on stage. Like it's like, all right, let's go, let's go. I'm on performer mode. But
Yeah.
with someone like yourself, I could only assume that you have more of a clinical approach, right, when it comes to training people, or do you like go go go?
Yeah, perhaps you're more of a performer than I am, but you've got to give energy to your people. That you've got to be engaged and interested, and keep focus on the person that's in front of you. They're paying you for your time and also your expertise, but if you're not attentive and giving them the motivation to be there, then they could be in there doing it by themselves. But yeah, certainly clinical side of things is trying to be, super reliable, and then having a program and creating something for them individually to make sure that you're overcoming those obstacles.
Oh yeah, I agree, I agree. Because like even though clinical doesn't necessarily mean like boring, as if you're gonna go watch the GP, but it's just like technical. So
Yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah, because
for
you
sure.
remember Matt McConnell? Does he still work with you guys, Matt
Yeah,
McConnell?
you're still there. Yep.
Oh, okay. So anyway, like he and I worked with this guy named Carl Lau back in Fitness First Norwest, right? And he's the Yoda. Like he even like our personal training manager Scott Dingwall back then. He even used to look up to Carl Lau because he was a qualified nutritionist, PT, and even like chiropractor and holistic health. Like he's just like, but the way he trained people was just so clinical. It's as if you're visiting a clinic, or just like talking to a doctor, because he's very soft spoken and he's very analytical. It's like, okay, so just tuck your elbows in when you're doing that shoulder press. Okay, now breathe out. Okay, extend, fully extend. Like he's not like loud at all. So
Yeah.
but actually he's more of a special needs kind of guy as well, very similar to you, but like he's one of very few guys who actually knew how to handle like pre and postnatal clients. So
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
so keep talking, keep talking.
I was just going to say, like, it's certainly, your approach has to be super clinical. The sessions aren't typically. It's good to have fun, and you end up having, I see most of my clients more than I see my best friends. So, you create a real relationship. There's certainly a fair bit of goofing around and having fun and enjoying each other's company, but certainly the exercise side of things pretty structured, pretty clinical, and I always worry that I'm a little bit sort of OCD. I keep spreadsheets of all programs, and I've created structures and templates, um, and learnt methodology of others that it really everything has its place and time, and you've got to build one on top of the other. So yeah, it does get right into the um, building blocks one after the other, like get really clinical.
Oh yeah, that's true. Because rapport is a must, Because I've also had those few clients in the past. I mean, like they're very reliable, but they come. It's just like, what are you talking about? Like when you don't have that kind of rapport. Of course,
Yeah,
rapport is not the most important thing. The most important thing is that servicing the client according to their needs, as
yeah,
within our scope of practice. But if you don't have rapport as a close second, it's like working at a bar job and you're just waiting for that 45 minutes to fly by.
yeah,
So that's the way I look at it. So I'm sure you've had that before as well, right?
yeah. I've had a couple that whether they've got other stuff on their mind, or they're quietly spoken, or introverted, that they come in, and you've touched off on how work was, how their weekend was, how their family's going in the first 3 seconds, and you've just got nothing else to talk about. So try and keep those guys really working the whole time, or get them breathless, so you're not standing next to each other, not chatting.
Yeah, that's right. Otherwise, we're just counting reps. So it's like, oh, okay, 30 seconds is up or 45 seconds up next set. It's just,
Yeah,
yeah, because like what you said, like you need to have fun. And one of the best ways to have fun is that find something in common. Like, just you can talk about, like, for this guy here who owns this office, we're both UFC fanatics. And tomorrow, actually, no, not tomorrow, I'm training him on Wednesday again. We're going to talk about today's UFC event. So
yeah,
it's just, and quite often, because he's been to the Philippines and I was born in the Philippines, and we talk
yep,
about the culture. But he knows about the culture more than I have because I've grown up here. I've been living here for almost 32 years, but he knows about the culture there. When we talk about it, okay,
yeah,
when he says something about the Filipino people doing this, doing that, it's like, yep, just like the Filipino people here in Sydney, very
yeah,
similar. So it's
yeah,
just something about that culture. So yeah, so rapport is a must, which is a good thing, boss. Okay, so next question here. So what is the
yeah.
most simple and practical way of managing injuries in general, good sir?
So uh, looking at your acute injuries, certainly I think RISA, the acronym, still stands very true. So you've got rest, ice, compression, elevation, referral. So resting something that's injured, makes a huge amount of sense. Ice, now we probably think cold pack is a better option than ice. Coming out of the fridge, not the freezer, in terms of just decreasing swelling. Compression via your socks, elevation obvious, and then referral, like we spoke about before, is send it to someone who's uniquely placed to look after them. So make sure there's appropriate assessment, treatment, and then hopefully from there they come back ready to work on the rehabilitation process with someone like us.
Oh, that's true. That's true. But I remember you vaguely told me that you're actually you as your profession. Are you allowed to diagnose and prescribe, or not really?
So we can most definitely assess, and this is where with your chronic concerns, it becomes something that we're again uniquely placed to do. So in terms of an acute injury, even like chronic illnesses, injuries, things like that, we send off to have a diagnosis, immediate treatment from a doctor, physio, chiro, any of those practitioners who's got the skill set to do that, and then referring back to someone like us that does the exercise therapy side of things. So I use a flexibility assessment, and also look at the core strength via again another assessment, and from there I'll start to prescribe exercises, stretches, core movements aimed at correcting any of the, I guess, imbalances in the body that may be causing chronic pain, things like that. As far as an assessment, or sorry, a diagnosis, I stick clear. You'll see a lot of things, and you'll have your own opinion, and maybe have had a good guess at what the physio doctor is going to find, but leave that to the big guys.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, because more than anything, you don't want to misdiagnose and whatnot. Yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah, because like in some ways you have to be extra caring to those people who are with bad injuries, right? So
Mm.
when they've been prescribed certain things, you can only
Yeah.
yep keep talking.
I was just going to say it's a great opportunity to learn as well. You try and create a network of very good practitioners, particularly in your area if you're servicing clients just out of a gym. But if you're online or you're prescribing, um, programs as opposed to delivering the personal training sessions, having access to different professionals is really, really super useful. And when they come back with a set prescription of these are the exercises we think they need to do, maybe the stretches they need to do to work with this injury, then you've had an opportunity to see what a physio does for any sort of given injury.
Yeah, because I in St. Leonard's I do send them to somebody at Tensegrity Clinics, like Dr. Sam Behan, like he's a chiropractor and sports trainer. I mean,
Yeah,
he looked after me well when I got injured, like when I got my left ankle injury, like because when you
yeah,
first met me, I was limping really bad, and he looked after me there. He took me like almost a year, within a year, to make it sure that I can walk almost normal again. Of course, the only time it's painful for me is that when I first wake up in the morning, I have to thoroughly stretch it. But then
mm,
maybe after like 10-15 minutes of thorough stretching, or maybe a little bit more or less, like I can walk almost normal. Sometimes I'm still limping, but the good thing is I can run now. Like I can
that's
run now,
awesome.
right? Yeah, and it was just painful. It was just a nightmare back then. It's just like I wasn't even mobile, and if it was a zombie
Yeah,
apocalypse, I couldn't run away from the zombies. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Find a motorbike or something.
yeah, that's
Um,
right. Yeah, keep
I think
talking.
so useful when we've got practitioners, and a unique opportunity we have to help out is to try and get our particularly GPs on board with exercise and helping them to understand our skill set, how we can work, um, down the chain once the initial um, treatment's been done, and where we can contribute and get a person from basically seen to diagnosed in the start of treatment to fully functional and able to operate back in their own lifestyle again.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's all about this. The progress will just be so different for everybody. Some people, depending on the injury or the sickness, will recover faster. Some people will take a little bit longer, or way longer. But it's just all about just being persistent with it. So yeah. But one of the things I learned from Sam Behan is that I just let him diagnose the problem, and he give me some workouts, or he just give me some advice. Like for example, one of my clients at the gym right now, he can't do this. He can't do the L fly with his right shoulders for some
Yeah,
reason. I don't know why, but I think it would have been from his rugby background. But he diagnosed the problem, and it's in my notes section. And he told me,
yeah,
okay, these are the workouts that you should do. This is the rehab workouts and the type of stretches that he can do on his own. But
yeah,
avoid these types of exercises. Like for example, like if he's going to do the incline bench press or the semi-incline bench press, he has to do it on the Smith machine, because he can't really balance the barbell or the dumbbell by itself for the free weights. It has to be the Smith machine. So and he's the only client that I prescribed the Smith machine, because I'm not a big fan of it, but it's just
yeah,
that I have to abide by it, because it's about Chris, my client Chris, not about me. So
yeah. And
yep.
it's now another tool you've got in your toolbox. You see this again in the future. Whilst you can't diagnose, and nor should we, but you've got a couple of different options and methods to again overcome the obstacles of what that person can and can't do.
Yeah. And because remember, when we're helping these people out, as long as we're resilient, it's just like it's therapy for them. So I'm pretty sure your clients will have that similar
Yeah.
thing to you when they see you. Oh, Michael, I love seeing you, but when I have to go back to work, oh, um, so some people are like that. Like people who see me in the lunchtime, the lunchtime client and all that stuff. Like they're happy being there, but then all of a sudden they're moody again when they walk out. But I think for me, from my experience, is that over the years, even back in my fitness first days, the people who are
Yeah.
the happiest ones are usually the ones who come after work. You know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. They know they're done for the day, and it's all easy from there.
That's right. And I remember, like, back in the day, like people who had to train 6 a.m. because I don't do that stuff anymore, 6 a.m., 7 a.m. workouts, training sessions anymore. But those people are usually more moody. Like, it's just like, oh, yeah, workout's done, but I've got to go back to work. Or I've got to go to work now.
Yeah.
Pretty sure you've had that similar experience in the past too, right?
Yeah. I've had a lady who just wouldn't even say hello to me first thing in the morning. So yeah.
Oh,
She'd,
wow.
yeah, she'd not been sleeping very well, and it was just a really off day. But yeah, we became friends again afterwards, fortunately. So it was
Oh,
okay.
good. Oh, good. Oh, it had nothing to do with you. It's just the sleeping patterns, I reckon.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I
So,
hope so.
well, if she's good friends with you now, I don't think it had something to do with you.
Yeah.
But
No,
that,
we're all good.
that's between the two of you, yeah. So, yeah, and it's amazing how that works, right? Like, the different niche of clientele, the more early morning ones, grumpy ones, in between the lunchtime clients, and then the happy ones are usually the ones who come after work. They want to stress
Yeah.
relieve, and yeah. But
Yeah,
there's
absolutely.
pros and cons, yeah. And you can teach them about sleep hygiene as well. That's what I normally teach my clients who have trouble falling
Yeah.
asleep. And I tell them, look,
Yep.
if a woman's in your mind, get her out of your head before you go to bed. So otherwise, she can she's gonna keep you up all night, and it's not her
Yeah.
fault. She has nothing to do with it. Yeah. Okay, so next question here, and most likely the last question. So, what advice would you give to people who are procrastinating in trying to attain their goals in health and fitness?
Yeah, good question. And I think my favorite approach to this is just do something. A little win every day. So whether it's a short walk, whether it's some stretching, getting up from your desk to they call them movement snacks. So you can shuffle around a little bit. Do something that you can and will do every day. Create a habit. So build a habit that's built into your day, and you can start to use that habit to piggyback other good habits on top of. So once you've established even a small block of movement every day, you can then start to add new exercises, more movement, other activities outside of that. So if you're doing little walks, you can add stretching on top of, or some push-ups. But start with a little habit that you can tick off the list every single day that you achieve, and then build on top of that.
Of course, like every little bit counts, right? Because, like, discipline is like a muscle. I think you and I are very disciplined people in different ways, So, you're disciplined
Yeah.
in some ways, because, like, because at the times I visited you at the fitness first, you're eating well and you're eating very lean, So, no carbs, and I'm thinking, wow, I mean,
Yeah, it's
and
changed a little bit now. Yeah.
it's changed a little bit, yeah. Because for me, it's just like being an Asian boy, I can't live without my carbs, So,
Yep.
it's either rice
Mostly
or
rice for you? Yep.
not anymore. Growing up, yeah.
No.
So growing
Okay.
up, yeah,
Yeah.
because obviously I don't live with my parents, so it's just like it's easier for me to stay from the rice. But tonight is rice night because tomorrow I'm going to be lifting heavy with my bench pressing, so I need that glycogen in the system. But
Rice
yeah,
night. I like that. That's good. Tonight's rice night.
with the salmon as well, the salmon and the
Oh, yeah,
broccolini,
so
yeah.
good.
But I don't know. But you didn't grow up eating too much rice, did you?
We were pasta sandwiches, a little bit of rice, like once or twice a week, but it wasn't a staple.
Yeah. Because it's not like, because if you grow up with Asian friends or even an Asian household, I mean, it's just they see you eating your meal without rice. It's just like what are you doing?
It's a
It's like,
sacrilege, isn't it?
that's right. That's an offense to the food, So have
Yeah.
some rice with it. So, but
Yeah.
it's the thing is, hey, I'm Australian. I'm not Asian. I mean, of course, I'm
Yeah.
Australian by thing, but it's one of those things where you just have to just do what you think is right for yourself. And of course, like there is some. I'm not going to talk much about my family, but the thing is, I'm the only disciplined one in this context. Like, because
Yeah.
I'm the only active one. But I guess, is your family active as well? Or not really.
Mixed amounts. Yeah. They've all done different amounts of exercises at different times. That we'll say about 80%.
80%. Okay, so that's even
Yeah.
harder than mine. Mine's not even 50%. But you know what?
Yeah.
And it's just like, because if I'm spending time with them, it's just like, oh, why don't you just eat this? Come on. And just like, it's, even though it's not cheat meal night, it's like, you guys don't get it, because in order for you to be successful at something, in order for you to be in shape, you have to stick to the routine. It doesn't have to be to the 100%.
Create the habit.
See? Yeah, create the habit. See, amen.
Yeah.
See, I'm going to send this, I'm going to make my parents listen to this so that way they don't pressure me into eating that kind of fatty Asian foods afterwards. And then you didn't just hear it from their son who's a personal trainer. They heard it from another guy who's also a personal trainer.
Hopefully I'm not getting any phone calls from them.
No, I'll tell them I'll stay off him because, he didn't do anything wrong. Michael didn't do anything wrong. Yeah, Michael didn't do anything wrong, So, yeah. But, you work in Chatswood, so you're surrounded by Asian food. I mean, how do you stay away from the temptation?
Good question. I just stay inside the gym. Too busy to go out and buy food.
Yeah, you can stay away from the hawker lane. Otherwise, you're like, you can smell the food.
It smells so good. Yeah.
Yeah, even in the concourse area, you smell all that Korean fried chicken and all that stuff around the area.
Fried chicken, pastries are another killer. Like you, for whatever reason, carbs just smell so good, don't they?
Yeah, or even fried chicken, because like when I visit the dentist, I'd visit Toothsome just there in Lemon Grove, right in Chatswood, and right next to it some kind of Korean fried chicken, like some similar to KFC. It smells bloody good, but I'm thinking not as much as it smells so good, I can't do it. It's like cheat meal night, or I have to wait until Monday or Wednesday night. Otherwise, I'm gonna feel so bad, and I just disrespected myself and whatnot. Yeah. But it is what it is. But yeah. But before we conclude, did you have any other things that you'd like to say to the audience? Because remember, this is even from you. I'm learning from you. Anything else that you want to touch on that you didn't really get to say just yet, or you have forgotten to say?
A little one's just a bit of positivity. I think is just start, do something, find a way to get some exercise in. The positive benefit to not only your physical health but your mental health is going to be massive, and there is a way. There's plenty of different ways we can overcome the obstacles to exercise to get something done. So yeah, find a way to get it done, and you'll thank yourself for it.
Amen to that, yeah. So stay on board. After I finish recording, just stay on board. So I'll just give you some instructions, yeah. But thank you so much for your time, So that is very, I had a good time. I mean, it's been 42 minutes. It feels like it's only been 15 minutes.
Flew by, yeah.
It flew by. So I'm glad you had fun as well. But
thank you for having me.
Well, thank you. Thank you for coming on board. But if you haven't done so, ladies and gents, please press the like and subscribe buttons. It's greatly appreciated. It's not only going to show support for this channel, but for experts like, Michael in their field as well. So well done. So visit him on his Instagram, or even, do you have Instagram, right?
Yeah, I do. Yep.
Okay, I'll get that afterwards. So visit his Instagram page in the description box below. And thank you so much for tuning in. Have a good rest of the day. Adios, everybody.
Yeah.